We have day 3 of the government shutdown. The Senate expected to vote again today on the same proposals that failed Tuesday and Wednesday. Let's get to Emily Wilkins with the latest from D.C. and whether we should expect any different. Emily.
Mike, I mean, at this point, the short answer is no. We should not expect any different today. At this point, there just doesn't seem to be a way out of this government shutdown. So what we're expecting to see later this afternoon, the Senate will come back. They will have a vote. Again, not expecting it to get to those 60 votes. But of course, the one thing we are going to be watching for here, do you have any Senate Democrats who crossed the aisle to join Republicans? Last time we saw this vote happen, there were 3 Senate Democrats who do that. Obviously, now we've seen the White House go ahead with a number of cuts in terms of energy programs, in terms of grants for transportation to these blue states. Of course, we've missed job numbers now, and the impacts of the shutdown are only going to get worse. That, of course, will put pressure on Senate Democrats. We'll see if any more of them go with Republicans today. But we're also keeping our eye on another potential off-ramp here. There have been some bipartisan discussions among Senate Democrats and Republicans about making some progress on extending those tax credits for Affordable Care Act premiums. Remember, these are the ones that expire at the end of the year. And right now, a majority of the 24 million Americans who do get those tax credits are expected to see their premiums go up 75% if the credits fully expire by the end of the year. Now, I've talked to Republicans who are firmly opposed, saying, hey, there's no way we should be extending these things. But I've also talked to other Republicans who say my constituents are going to be hurt by it. And while we need to have some limits to how we expend these tax credits, we could do it. They're talking about things like income caps. They're talking about things like having people who are in the program paying some minimum fee. They're talking about things like trying to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse in the program. Now, we should clarify these talks are still in very early stages. We are nowhere close to this point to a deal that would unlock the Senate Democrat votes needed to open up the government. But at this point, we're now looking at going into the weekend in the shutdown, going into Monday in a shutdown. That'll be the next chance they have to vote. And it's just not clear at this point exactly what that off-ramp is going to be to get the government back started. Guys?
Emily, I mean, to the extent we can, draw some wisdom from the betting markets, they're now sort of handicapping about a 2-week duration of this shutdown. Are there reasons to think that there's relevant trigger points up in that time frame that makes sense to think that's when it might go to?
Mike, I think one of the big trigger points is going to be the moment that you can't get the paychecks out. For the millions of federal workers, they just ended a pay period that ended at the end of September, so they were able to be paid for that. But when you talk about federal workers, when you talk about members of our military not getting a paycheck, that is always a big pressure point. Of course, there's also programs to help low-income women and children get food. That's expected to run out around mid-month. And of course, from the economic data, we're missing the jobs numbers today, but perhaps even more important, the BLS is not collecting information when it comes to jobs and when it comes to prices, which means even if you do see data released later this month or even next month, it might not be as accurate if they've missed a long period of time that they were supposed to be collecting these data and getting this information. So I think all of those things are going to add up, and I think it's at this point going to be very interesting to see as that pressure ramps up. Do you see more Senate Democrats today say, you know what, this isn't sustainable anymore, we're going to have to vote to fund the government, or do you see them continue to hold firm and try to make some progress on health care?
Emily, thank you so much. Emily Wilkins for us in D.C.